What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the other side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as behind those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? And also, special co-host, we have Chelsea Pierre. She is a professional speaker and the CEO of Blacks Leading Technology. What's going on?
Blurs, man.
What's going on?
It's doing well. It's doing well. Good morning.
Good morning.
Beautiful morning for tech.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you for coming back. So everybody has to go way back to some of our first episodes where Chelsea was at my first interview on the show. So she is back. This is season 2, episode 2 of the podcast. We moved to Media's Hero Group. So Heroes Media Group. There you go. I'm not going to redo this intro again. For our second season. So if we continue to tune in, and we'll catch up with Chelsea as the week progresses. So without further ado, I'll give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. This article is from techrepublic.com. Written by Ray Fernandez, right? And this one is HackerOne, how the economy is impacting cybersecurity teams, right? So what they're talking about here, right? So there was a recent HackerOne event, right? So HackerOne study and GitLab survey they did, and they were talking about budget cuts and layoffs, hiring freezes, and how it's happening across the cybersecurity industry, right? So we all know the economy is experiencing its issues right now, right? So for a lot of these companies, one of the first places they start to cut is cybersecurity, right? And if I've said it once, I've said it a million times, on this podcast. That's not where you should be cutting, right? Like, especially when it comes to cybersecurity, because you're able to automate so many things that can help you out, right? Like if you don't want to pay people, because we know people is where most of the money comes from, right? When you got to pay for, the dental insurances, the health insurances, and things like that. People get expensive, right? That's why AI is gonna replace us all one day, right? Like Skynet will win because of this. You know what I mean? So gloom and doom from me. That's how I do. But they talk about how a lot of these cuts come from cybersecurity, and this is not the place to cut from, right? So like I said, I've said it before, and it's just not something you want to see. And they have a great quote in this article, right? So there's this guy that gave this quote. He said, if you're going to cut personnel of the bank, do you want to cut all the guards that are guarding the vault? Probably not. Dead on, right? Dead on. So like these people think, okay, well, I need to make the cut. Cybersecurity is going to be the first place. Cybersecurity is going to be the first place. We don't need as many people that are out here watching the firewalls. We don't need as many people out here that are keeping the websites up, things like this. And this goes back to something, Chelsea, is something you mentioned in the previous episode, right? When it comes to your business plans, like what happens if this happens? Like how much money are you losing, right? And when it comes to CEOs and COOs, that's what they care about, right? Like it's the money being lost. They don't care, they're kind of, I don't want to say they're the bean counters, right? Your CEOs, COOs, CFOs, but they're looking at it like, how can we save when we're not making as much as we used to? And this is not where they should be cutting, right? Like find a different way to do it. Because again, in cybersecurity and IT, you can automate so much more. You know what I mean? Like you can make it easier. If you do have to cut, I don't know the situation in these places, right? I'm not a CEO, you know what I mean? But that is not where the first strike should come from. I mean, there are other extravagances that can probably be lost, right, with some of these big companies. Because you see these companies, like if you have 11,000 people to lay off, I'm pretty sure you can find cuts somewhere else. You know what I mean? So it shouldn't be in your cybersecurity, because what ends up happening, right? Like, especially when this stuff goes public, it's not like it's not public either, right? So you get these ransomware gangs that see that, right? And they start doing one of these numbers, right? They start looking like baby, you know what I mean? They're like, ooh, yeah, you know what I mean? So it's just how it is. It's how people are doing things now, and it's not the way it should be, from Shannon's opinion, you know what I mean? But Chelsea, let's get yours on this.
Cuts, right? Cuts. Oh my goodness. Who was it? Amazon that just let, I don't know, X amount of people off. What was last month? Like, look, okay. There is a way that you are supposed to do things, right? There is a way that if you're going to break up with somebody, This is the best way to break up with somebody, right? If you want to change a tire, here's the most efficient way to change the tire, right? So there are ways to do things. And so I see from two sides. I get it. If you look, you say, hey, we need to make some cuts. Let me look around, and let's say you look at your company, what you're doing, what you're protecting, and you say, you know what? I don't care about my protection plan on my monitors. Hell, we'll just buy some more monitors, right? Not worried about it. Everybody on the first floor can knock it down, break it, not worry about the internal personnel security risk. Oh, okay, if you're willing, if you're willing to chop up that price, okay, then you don't care if everybody on the first floor physically destroys your monitors. All right, we can afford it. I don't care. Now, when you look at, your network security, if you look at your cybersecurity, if you look at, different other technical securities, when you make these cuts, are you honestly willing to decide that you want to pay the cost in case something happens? Because if you like what Shannon just said, if you remove that guard, if you remove that firewall, if you remove this application, if you remove this program that you didn't realize has been protecting you, if you cut your staff, right? Your staff that has to work 8 hours, they have to work 10 hours. We don't need 20 people. We're going to slice that down to 5 people. People get sick. People want to go on vacation. If you cut that down, are you actually honestly willing to pay that risk, right? And if you are not, first of all, did you calculate the risk? There's a formula. There's formulas. I'm not a big formula person, but there's formulas, right? Did you calculate the risk? Are you actually willing to take this risk? Because it's going to happen. You can have the most elite security system, right? Everybody was so hype about the ring. Oh, the ring is awesome. We're gonna put in fact, we're gonna put we're gonna put 2 rings in front of our door. And so somebody pushes the ring in front of the door and the camera turns on. I'm gonna tell them to push both and I can see you twice, right? Everybody was so ecstatic. And then what happened? Right? People was able to exploit it. People was able to get in. People was able, you know what? This is ran by technology. Just for laughs and giggles, let me see if I can hack into your stuff and then hack into your AI refrigerator and see what you ate. Like, it's technology. It's going to happen. As we are growing and expanding, these hackers, they are getting more. Some of them are just bored. Some of them wants to challenge their expertise. Some of them are actually criminals. Like, somebody will attack you. Somebody will attack you. If you have money in your pocket, somebody will attack you. If you go into the fair, a little boy will try to pickpocket you. Something will happen. So are you honestly willing? You have to sit down. And I say this all the time, like, we can do all of the training in the world. People will probably fall asleep in the training, but you have to, when you're trying to train your employees, make it interactive so they can remember. If you are writing these risk mitigation plans, make it live, make it mean something. Just don't do it so you could report it to your shareholders. Like, if you cut budgets, why are you cutting? Especially security, why are you cutting? Where are you cutting? And what is your realistic impact? Because as realistic as it is, it's real. It's not paper. It is live. It is real, and it will happen. And if you say, I don't care, you need to be in that position to say, I don't care. And because I don't care, here is my plan if it happened, because now things would happen. You just cannot cut stuff and then expect nothing to respond to it. The more money you save, sooner or later, there's going to be a situation where you have to use that money. That's just, you have a savings. Why you have a savings? Because I know something's going to happen, right? That's why I have a savings. Like, the more money you save, there's going to be situations that you're going to need it. But understand that you're going to need it. But where will you need it at? And that's kind of, it's just, that's all I got to say. Like, come on, man. We got to think about this stuff realistically, holistically. If you don't want to do it realistically, let's think of it holistically. And honestly, let's be responsible and accountable for these decisions we are making.
Right. No, I think you hit it right on the nail around the head, because they're not thinking about it holistically. They're like, what is not making me money? Well, it's defense, right? Because you're not going to see it unless it's being active, right? Like you receive a breach, now we have to mitigate it, and then you saved X amount of dollars. If you're never getting breached, you're just like, oh, what can I cut? These people don't do anything. Like those are people keeping you from the nightmare situation. So I think it's a combination of two things, right? I think it's last one in, first one out, right? Cyber is relatively new. Well, how's it benefiting us? We're making record-making profits, and then we're having to spend some of it on the cyber team because they're kind of expensive, right? But they don't do anything because we haven't been breached. No one is attacking us, even though we're being attacked on a regular basis. It's just hard to codify that, right? So I think that's, and in part that's due to the cyber team needing to have more access to the C-suite. Like, you know how many breaches we have, or not breaches, but you know how many times our firewall's been hit, you know how many times we've stopped intruders from getting in. I don't think they're getting that information. They're more worried about sales selling. They're worried about customer service retention, right? They're the things that are making them money. They don't necessarily understand the technology. But I also think it's coming down the pipe because of regulation. Like, they will learn our value fairly soon. Like, you have like GBLA being expanded to universities because they take in federal money, right? So the Fed is coming down saying, like, you guys need to be a part of this now. We need you to do your assessments so that way we can ensure we're not going to have PII breaches and things of that nature. You have insurance coming down, right? Like, insurance premiums are jumping because they're tired of paying $5 million for breaches, and you didn't put in $5 million worth of premium, right? So now they're like, give me your SOC 2, give me your NIST CSF. Are you hitting your targets? Oh, like you scored a 2.5, 3.0's target, so now your premium jumps. Like, now you have to pay us more money because of it. I think that is where we're going to start to cut our teeth and start to show our value, when you're passing your assessments, when you're not the susceptible to what is it, Log4j or Log4j, whatever you want to call it, or to your sunburst and things of that nature. As companies are getting hit and you're not feeling the burn because of it, people are like, oh, okay, my team is valuable. But right now it's just like, hey, we're making money, record-making profits coming out the pandemic. Where can we cut more people? You see, like Amazon, like you said, I think they just dropped 11,000 people. Just like, bye. Like, but that's extreme. Like, were you paying these people exorbitant amount of money, and was it cutting your budget, your profits that much, or are you just trying to see like how much more can we eke out of this? How close to the bone can we cut and still make this money? Not thinking on the backside, there's somebody in their basement right now. I like to pick on hackers in their black hoodie, figuring out like, how can I get, like in the Dallas situation, 170 grand out of you for sleeping? Like, how can I do that? And it's going to be because you cut important people from your team and you have no backup plan. And I think that's talked about in the article as well. Like, they're not thinking ahead. They're not like, okay, if we do cut these people, like, how are we going to, do we have a third party? Like, do we have a retainer for another company? They're just like, nah, let the team go and we'll see what happens. And you're going to see what happens, unfortunately. In the next, I'd say six months to a year, is going to be something major that's going to come down the pipe, because as you let these people go, the bad guys are not laying people off. That's not what's happening on their side. They're plussing up. They're seeing the $170,000 profits. They're seeing like whatever happens with Dallas. Like, hopefully they do not pay the ransom. Hopefully they can hold out. But if they do pay the ransom, it's even more lucrative. Like, okay, you could double dip. I can get 170 and I can come back and get some more money. I think this is going to be a major shift, and then they're going to be like, okay, we need to bring people back. But now you're behind the curve, right? Now it takes time to catch up. These teams have to relearn their work. They have to build their new plans. Like, now you're behind the curve and you're just as susceptible had you just not picked them up to begin with. So it takes time to build up your team and to get them trained and to get them functioning. Foreman, Norman, Storman, right? I got three airmen over here. They know the deal. It takes time to get your team firing on all cylinders. So I think that's going to come ahead. But before I go too long on my soapbox, definitely continue to tune in, hit us up by all the socials that go by our name. Again, we're on Heroes Media Group now. Make a correction. I misdid your title, Chelsea. It's CEO of Blurred's Leading Technology. So definitely tune in for all of her stuff. Follow the links. And, all those things I'll be attached to this video. Stay safe and stay secure.